Welcome to the video tutorial for the Sympathy issue of the Florist Review magazine. The subject of this particular issue for the Creative Edge is sympathy, design, and specifically standing spray or funeral spray. As you know, this is the piece that hangs on the easel, whether it's wooden, whether it's metal or bamboo. But this is a piece that is to be showcased up front, frontally, and as visitors come and see it, it really can be a very showy piece. And it has been for so many years such a boring traditional look that's so much everyone alike that it's really time to differentiate ourselves and make something that stands out, which can be a wonderful branding for a shop to do something really beautiful at a funeral. So the first standing spray, I'm calling it the Hanging Garden spray because it really is a collection of just beautiful flowers instead of designed in sort of that badge of honor kind of the radio way with Commodore, palm, etc., that you often see and in a basic design that you see every day at a funeral home. This one has a much more loving, compassionate drape to it that just makes you feel like it's part of the beauty of flowers and beauty of life and thinking about in memory of celebration of a beautiful life lost. So it is done in a tropical nouveau combination with a combination of tropicals and temperate flowers, designed by color palette that makes it so attractive together, but designed in somewhat of a cascading way. It's designed into a floral cage that's attached to the easel and designed radially, but in almost a cascading kind of format so that it has that beautiful draping look. The second one, I'm calling it sort of the heavenly design or heavenly spray, that it really has actually a feature that's kind of like an angel wing. It's a pair of actually Medellino Nautilus spiral pieces that's unspiraled, that's been extended so that it has that kind of a wing look. And that's been attached initially to an easel that has actually a small floral cage, just a small floral cage. And then the flowers are designed sort of vertically up and down from that small easel cage. And the construction of the Medellino Nautilus spiral consists of the use of aluminum wire in extended portion and for the length of the wing, but at the same time using Medellino in sort of a calculated way that you see. So it's really, it's very systematic, so you just have to follow the direction in how it's created to get that evenness on either side of. But I think it has a very appropriate use in sympathy world and a very imposing emotional piece that makes you feel like it just is all about compassion and respecting the life of someone who had a wonderful presence and its rise to the heavens. I think it has a wonderful meaning behind it and is a perfect tribute. Also, it has kind of a cluster, almost a hanging piece that's just encrusted length of almost amaranthus-like cluster of little chopped up pieces of Medellino as well. So it has that feature as well that drapes downward. So the final advanced sort of form of the easel spray is approaching from a much more sort of artistic perspective. And it's been actually, it's really actually a sculpture, a Medellino sculpture created with Medellino that's been put together, constructed into a tatami with a tatami method of connection. So that's going to be Medellino that's put together with bind wire in a very systematic way to create different bands, different width of bands, depending on the number of Medellino sticks that you use, and also some of it doubling up and extending it to double length so that you have long double length pieces of these Medellino tatamis as well as the short one. Basically, the Medellino tatami sections are actually attached to the grid of the cage, and the sculpture itself created first before I even start with the foliages and flowers. So the construction of the sculpture is first and foremost the most important, to create the shape that then becomes the artistic portion of the floral treatment. Following instructions on how that is created and to do it well and evenly, and how to attach that to kind of create a very dimensional sculpture is the key to the artistic value of this design. I think you can agree that if you saw this at a funeral home, at a service, or at the church, at the funeral, that it would definitely stand out. It would mark the fact that it must come from a florist who is very artistic, very creative, that it stands out amongst all the other ordinary traditional sprays, and is really a perfect way to showcase the branding of your particular business. I think it's a very vitally important thing to include new and interesting ways of creating statements at every occasion, whether it's wedding, sympathy, what have you, because this is a way to stand out in the business of flowers.